Hello again. Now let's bring you more on this bizarre, tragic story. The youngest victim is said to be 13 years old. And we're talking about the story that took place, of course, at the Enyobeni tavern in East London, where 21 teenagers, including the 13-year-old, have died, and it's still unclear what actually happened at the tavern. The owner says she was not around at the time, and the youngsters gathering from Saturday night, and by early yesterday morning, 21 of them had died. Our senior reporter, Aviwe Mtila, tracking that story for us. He's joining us now live from East London. Aviwe, I see you are attending a prayer service of sorts where you are at this stage. Can you tell us what's happening?
But then we are at the Assembly of God, a church here in Scenery Park, where in the majority it's the grieving families of the 21 teenagers who lost their lives in the early hours of yesterday. They've been consoled by the clergy here, as well as different government entities, from your Department of Education to social development and social workers also here. We do understand it's a planning meeting on the logistics going forward, even preparing for the funeral of these 21 teenagers. But then there's still a lot of questions that still needs to be answered. Families are devastated, they are heartbroken, not knowing what exactly led to the deaths of these teenagers. You remember that they're aged between 13 years to 17 years, and there's no clear indication as to how this tavern allowed these teenagers to be there in the first place. We do know it was overcrowded, but it's unclear whether it was the cause of the overcrowding that led to the deaths, as the Minister of Police, Enyobeni, has already ruled out the stampede that at first it was thought it was. Of course, also not natural causes. Hence, a special team of forensics will be deployed nationally from the South African Police Service to come and investigate exactly what led to these deaths. In the course of the day, Bradan, we've been speaking to a number of mourning families, and in fact, at the top of their head, all they want is just answers, Bradan. Here's a conversation that we had earlier on with a mother of a daughter who lost her life there, Yandi Swangmuza. Let's take a listen to that.
We can't accept it. We are one of the poorest families, and as we are standing here right now, we need justice because we don't know what happened. We were just called just to attend to the scene, and now we're only here to identify the body, and the body is still here. We're taking the child to Afgov because of the mayor's offer, but we need justice. We need to know what happened to the child.
What are they telling you, Mama? Are you getting any answers?
At the moment, there are no answers. They said autopsy will be sent to the lab to find out what happened. But by the look of the child, she's got no visible injuries.
I mean, it's a tough one, I think, as people are beginning to wrap their heads around what really happened, this tragedy. I mean, the emotion around it, Aviwe, and you've been talking to a number of people. I saw you earlier this morning speaking to the owner who says she was not around. There are many questions than answers.
Many questions unanswered, Bradan. Some of those questions being asked by the Liquor Trader Board, who have now officially closed down Enyobeni Tavern. They've given them a compliance notice, closing its doors indefinitely. You do understand at this very moment, it's an active crime scene, and we spoke to owner earlier on, who says she doesn't know what happened as she wasn't there. We tried to ask, why are teenagers there? Because in the majority, in fact, all the deaths that occurred are of teenagers. We asked, why are you allowing teenagers to even buy alcohol at your tavern? And she proportioned the blame to the bouncers, saying that it's the bouncers that let them in because they have strict protocols. But of course, evidently, in the majority yesterday morning, the people that were there. Judging just by the deaths, were these teenagers. In fact, the community members that we spoke to suggest that this tavern has been problematic. They've reported it to the Liquor Traders Board. In fact, drawing up affidavits from the SA Police Service, complaining about how the tavern closes till the early hours of the morning, closing at around 5 a.m., not sticking to those trading hours, just among other things, the noise levels and how the patrons urinate around their houses. Some of the complaints that they've written up to some 3 weeks ago, which they haven't had a response to. But we caught up with the owner, Vuyokazi Ndevu, just a bit earlier on. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Abantwana abanethathe bhuti abangena apha endlini babekho abantwana babangaphandle once umntana belapha ngaphandle bahlala baye bakhempisha apha ngaphandle bangangeni pha ngaphakathi baca ngokuyikwila wili ngapha kusebusuku batshova amacango benze ngehlobo kuthiwa benze ngalo abangena abantwana abanethathe ninzi apha ngaphakathi into eyenza bhuti kuyavalwa apha ngotu imoto ezimisa apha ngaphandle zizizo ezizikhalisa umculo kuse kuthi gedi sixa siphuma thina sikhalaza umculo athi umuntu lala liphumile endlini yakho abanye mhlawumbe ngoba lapha eScenery Park ngabezinye area bazokonwaba apha eScenery Park kuyiwari abantwana basolekele kwindawo mna enditya ngayo kubika ubuhlungu kwindawo mna endingenza ngayo isonto abantwana babhubhele ngaphakathi imiphefumulo emininzi kangakayana iphume pha ngaphakathi akumandanga nakum kubuhlungu ndithi ncisi kubo andiyaba manithina ndithi ncisi kubo.
Okay, now thank you very much for that update from Aviwe Mtila inside that venue where there's a prayer service following this death, this tragic incident at the Enyobeni tavern in East London. Let's speak now.